这石头可逮着个人，就好像到了电视台的讲述节目，对着空空道士敞开心扉，把自己人间的经历全都讲了。
Brother Stone, according to what you yourself seem to imply in these verses, this story of yours contains matter of sufficient interest to merit publication.
空空道人看了一回，晓得这石头有些来历，遂向石头说道：师兄，你这一段故事，据你自己说来，有些趣味，故捐写在此，意欲问世传奇。
看来这石头让茫茫大士和渺渺真人带到人间逛了一圈，已经回来了。大士就是高僧，真人就是成仙的道士。大荒山确实荒凉，成年累月见不到人，更别说知音了。这石头可逮着个人，就好像到了电视台的讲述节目，对着空空道士敞开心扉，把自己人间的经历全都讲了。空空道士说，你这个故事说不清是那个年代，也没有贤能的忠臣，只有几个特别的女子，又没有东汉班昭和蔡文姬那样的品德才能，人们可能不爱看啊。石头说，大师的想法可能有些迂腐死板了，说不清哪个年代，你随便说汉唐都可以吗？族人们就爱看有趣的故事，很多小说不是诽谤君臣，就是说些淫秽的事情，要不就是说才子佳人，胡说八道，乱七八糟，教坏了年轻人。我的这个故事，闲着没事的时候看看，既不费事，也不会惹是生非，比别的小说可强多了。听他这么一说，空空道人就把故事记录了下来。故事的名字当然就叫石头记了。不过空空道人透过感情这个现象，悟到了人生的本质，所以又把它改名叫《情僧录》。这书造成道士拥有版权的作品了，因为有人觉得这部小说和情色有关，可以给人启示，看小说的人应该引以为鉴，所以又叫它风月宝鉴。看来很多人都想让这部小说对青年人起到教育和警示的作用。曹雪芹在道洪轩阅读了10年，修改了5次，最后分出悔目，直接叫他金陵12钗，南京12美眉，这同样够吊胃口的吧。曹雪芹还写了一首小诗，满纸荒唐言，一把辛酸泪，都云作者知，谁解其中味。这首诗意思是说，写的事情很荒唐，其实内心很悲伤。
From his reading of the inscription, Vanitas realized that this was a stone of some consequence. Accordingly, he addressed himself to it in the following manner. Brother Stone, according to what you yourself seem to imply in these verses, this story of yours contains matter of sufficient interest to merit publication, and has been carved here with that end in view. But as far as I can see, it has no discernible dynastic period, and it contains no examples of moral grandeur among its characters, no statesmanship, no social message of any kind. All I can find in it, in fact, are a number of females, conspicuous, if at all, only for their passion or folly, or for some trifling talent or insignificant virtue. Even if I were to copy all this out, I cannot see that it would make a very remarkable book. Come, your reverence, said the stone, for Vanitas had been correct in assuming that it could speak. Must you be so obtuse? All the romances ever written have an artificial period setting, Han or Tang for the most part. In refusing to make use of that stale old convention, and telling my story of the stone exactly as it occurred, it seems to me that, far from depriving it of anything, I have given it a freshness these other books do not have. Your so-called historical romances, consisting as they do of scandalous anecdotes about statesmen and emperors of bygone days, and scabrous attacks on the reputations of long-dead gentlewomen, contain more wickedness and immorality than I care to mention. Still worse is the erotic novel, by whose filthy obscenities our young folk are all too easily corrupted, and the boudoir romances, these dreary stereotypes with their volume after volume all pitched on the same note, and their different characters undistinguishable except by name. All those ideally beautiful young ladies and ideally eligible young bachelors, even they seem unable to avoid descending sooner or later into indecency. The trouble with this last kind of romance is that it only gets written in the first place because the author requires a framework in which to show off his love poems. He goes about constructing the framework quite mechanically, beginning with the names of his pair of young lovers and invariably adding a third character, a servant or the like, to make mischief between them, like the Cho in a comedy. What makes these romances even more detestable is the stilted, bombastic language, inanities dressed in pompous rhetoric, remote alike from nature and common sense, and teeming with the grossest absurdities. Surely my number of females, whom I spent half a lifetime studying with my own eyes and ears, are preferable to this kind of stuff. I do not claim that they are better people than the ones who appear in books written before my time. I am only saying that the contemplation of their actions and motives may prove a more effective antidote to boredom and melancholy. And even the inelegant verses with which my story is interlarded could serve to entertain and amuse on these convivial occasions when rhymes and riddles are in demand. All that my story narrates, the meetings and partings, the joys and sorrows, the ups and downs of fortune, are recorded exactly as they happened. I have not dared to add the tiniest bit of touching up for fear of losing the true picture. My only wish is that men in the world below may sometimes pick up this tale when they are recovering from sleep or drunkenness, or when they wish to escape from business worries or a fit of the dumps, and in doing so, find not only mental refreshment, but even perhaps, if they will heed its lesson and abandon their vain and frivolous pursuits, some small arrest in the deterioration of their vital forces. What does your reverence say to that?
空空道人看了一回，晓得这石头有些来历，遂向石头说道：“师兄，你这一段故事，据你自己说来，有些趣味，故捐写在此，意欲问世传奇。据我看来，第一件，无朝代年纪可考；第二件，并无大贤大忠理朝廷治风俗的善政，其中只不过几个异样女子，或情，或痴，或小才微善。我纵然抄去，也算不得一种奇书。”石头果然答道：“我师何必太痴？我想历来野史的朝代，无非假借汉唐的名色，莫如我这石头所记，不借此套，只按自己的事体情理，反倒新鲜别致。况且那野史中，或善谤君相，或贬人妻女，奸淫凶恶，不可胜数，更有一种风月笔墨，其淫秽污臭，最易坏人子弟。至于才子佳人等书，则又开口文君，满篇子建，千步一香，千人一面，且终不能不涉淫滥。再作者不过要写出自己的两手情诗艳妇来，故假捏出男女二人名姓，又必旁添一小人，拨乱其间，如戏中的小丑一般。更可厌者，知乎者也，非礼即文，大不尽情，自相矛盾。竟不如我这办事轻见轻闻的几个女子，虽不敢说强似前代书中所有之人，但观其事迹原委，亦可消愁破闷。至于几首歪诗，也可以喷饭供酒，其间离合悲欢，兴衰际遇，俱是暗记寻踪，不敢稍加穿凿，致失其真。只愿世人当那醉于睡醒之时，或必是消愁之际，把此一玩，不但是喜旧翻新，却也省了些寿命精力，不更去谋虚逐妄了。我师意为如何？